Full disclosure, I was one of the backers of Shantae Half-Genie Hero on Kickstarter. My name is in the credits, and of course I just have to get that out there straight away so people have a bit of an understanding of where I'm coming from. In addition, I should say that I got into the Shantae series with Risky's Revenge and then I played Pirate's Curse, so I've played all but the original in this series, and for the ones I've played, I've enjoyed them all, and yes, Half-Genie Hero is included in that, but I do feel that overall Half-Genie Hero is not as good as Pirate's Curse. I've seen a lot of people say the opposite, but for me personally, Pirate's Curse was an overall better experience. Half-Genie Hero, I think, suffers the same kind of problem that a lot of sequels do, and you've upped the ante to a certain point and then the next one has to scale it back. Because the last game was about Shantae having to team up with her nemesis to oppose this big, evil monstrosity that's trying to come back. In this game, Shantae and Risky are just fighting each other again, and that's it. I mean, this would be like if Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic and Eggman had a big team up against Chaos, and then the next game, Eggman's the main villain. That wouldn't be satisfying. And that's a problem that this game has, that the story just doesn't feel as significant. The last one felt like there was a lot more going on, whereas here, Shantae just fights Risky again. Okay, I'm not even sure what Risky was trying to achieve, something about corrupting the genie realm for some reason. I don't really know why. I think overall the story in the last game was better than this one. Maybe my opinion will change once the additional story DLCs come out for Risky, and I think Shantae's friends are getting them as well. But with just the core story for Shantae, it's just not that interesting, honestly. Which is a shame, because I was really hoping for something better in this one. Because Pirate's Curse was the end of a trilogy, and it wrapped up the storyline that was started in Risky's Revenge. So I was kind of expecting this game to really start up this big new storyline, especially since this game is the first in HD. But as far as the story goes, they don't really do anything new. It's not really setting up the next big storyline, and by the end it doesn't feel like much was achieved. And of course with the endings, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are two endings. It's the same kind of things what they did last time, where there's one for getting all of certain collectibles and one for not. Don't bother going for the one where you don't get everything, because unlike last time where there was a very clear difference in the outcome, in this one it's just some extra lines of dialogue that don't show up at the end, and it's really not worth going through that horrendous final sequence multiple times, because that end sequence, wow. I mean, fighting multiple bosses in a row and having to restart if you lose against one of them isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's really annoying when after that they have one of those sliding sequences, which you have to keep in mind there's only been one of up to this point, so the player hasn't really had time to get properly accustomed to these sequences. And I really want to know who the hell decided one of these sequences where there's so much shit going on, so many things that will just make you fail after you restart that section so many friggin' times. Who thought this was a good idea, and who the hell approved it? The best thing the developers could do for the game at this point is cut that part out. It's not good. And it doesn't help that you have to jump on those bloody moving hoops. Those hoops are the worst thing in the game. They are just terrible. They don't work most of the time. And then you have to jump on them while they're moving. It's really bad. And that's a real shame, because the rest of the game is good. It's up to Shantae's standards. Again, I don't think it's as good as the last game, but I think overall the gameplay is still solid. This is a fine place to get into the series if you've not tried it before. There's just some little niggling things that just bring the experience down, and those would be the story being not as good, but I think if you're getting into the series with this game, you won't really mind, because you won't have played the others before. The climax is a bit weak, and when you go for the good ending, you get the special item that you think is going to be used at some point by Shantae in the scene, but no, it's just apparently used off screen or afterwards or something. It's not really clear, so when you're going through, you're not really sure if you actually achieved the criteria to get the proper ending, and so you're just going through and you're thinking, oh my god, please work, because otherwise you have to redo the section again. Overall, I like Half-Genie Hero. It's good. I think the art style is a little weaker than the last game. The gameplay is just a little weaker, but still really good. It's up to standards, aside from those little bits towards the end. And the story is not bad, it's just a little weak, and I feel like there was a lot more charm in the last game. If I had to pick a point for someone to start the series with, given that the original game was on the Game Boy and Risky's Revenge is a lot more hardcore Metroidvania, this is probably the best place to start, in all honesty, because it doesn't rely on the previous games story-wise, which is a bit of a strength and a weakness. A strength because this makes this game a very good place to start, but a little poor because as far as the overarching story of the series goes, it kind of makes the other games feel kind of inconsequential. I know I seem quite negative in my discussion of this game, but but that's only because those parts at the end really bring the experience down, not to the point where it's bad, but those points stand out so much that they're the things I think of most when I think of my experience, which is a shame because, again, the experience itself is good, it's worth it. If you have never tried Shantae before, definitely give this one a go. If you're a fan of the series, you'll definitely enjoy it, I think. But it's one of those games where you have to sit through the credits. If I've finished the game and seen the credits once, I shouldn't have to sit through them again. But again, it's a small thing. If I had to give it a rating, it would probably be about an 8. I don't really give ratings normally, but I'd say if that's the kind of thing you want, 8 out of 10 seems pretty solid. A few little weaknesses here and there, a few parts where the game doesn't really make it clear where you're supposed to go exactly, but overall a very positive experience. I'm looking forward to seeing the DLC. I may come back and do another video to discuss that DLC once it comes out. We'll see, but for now, Happy New Year, check out Shantae and keep an eye out for future developments from Way Forward because they can generally be relied on to make really good games as long as it's not licensed.